afternoon and welcome to this edition of KTN Newsdesk. My name is Edith, Kimani. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. It's the 4th of December, the year is 2013, and as usual, we have up-to-date stories of what's happening in and around your world, and of course, some stories that are just interesting to hear. We'll be having all that and a lot more in this edition of KTN Newsdesk. Now, the President has summoned members of the Parliamentary Select Committee for Energy and Communication ahead of a scheduled debate on the Kenya Information and Communication Amendment Bill 2013. As the President and the Jamle Kamau-led committee is in State House, media stakeholders are held up in a closed-door meeting with officials of Commission for the Implementation of the Constitution and the Attorney General to discuss further amendments to the Kicker Bill and the Media Council Bill. The National Assembly was scheduled to debate the President's memo on the Kenya Information and Communication Amendment Bill yesterday. That was in the afternoon. However, protests from journalists forced the National Assembly to shelve the debate until later today. Elsewhere, a group of internally displaced persons from the 2007 post-election violence this morning held a peaceful demonstration to State House, Nairobi. Now, the group arrived in the city from the IDP camp in Mai Mahiu last night and spent the night outside Harambee House. The group later marched to State House to seek audience with President Uhuru Kenyatta. However, at State House, the security personnel could not allow them in. The IDPs camped outside State House for some time, demanding to be addressed by President Uhuru, and those are the pictures that you're seeing on your screens right now. State House security personnel, however, convinced the group to disperse, promising them their plight would be addressed. The group claims they were evicted from their farms in Njoro and parts of Uasin Gishu in the former Rift Valley province, and the government has not compensated them since.
Walikuwa wakati huo na akina Naomi Shaban wakakuja wakatuambia tutafute mahali tutakaa, na tukatafuta mahali tutakaa. Wakati walianza kupeana pesa, walipewa watu wengine, sisi tukabaki, wakawajengea manyumba tukiwa kapitano, tukabaki mahali pale.
Tulienda sisi wenyewe kutafuta mahali ya kukaa. Tulitafuta pesa ile ambaye kila mtu kile haiko nazo. Wakati alikuwa ukimbizi 2,000, 1,000, tukanunua sehemu kidogo, tukakuja tukaweka hema. Wengine sisi tulitoka na hema kutoka Tarbo. Hebu nieleze kutoka Tarbo 280. Hema hiyo saa hii iko kweli? Sasa hiyo hema hayuko, tuiko bila tunakaa namna hii, ndio iko wengine wanaweka makaratasi, wengine wanaweka magunia, na wengine hakuna bahali ya kukaa.
To a developing story, and even after the High Court ruled yesterday to suspend the tribunal formed by President Uhuru Kenyatta to probe 6 members of the JSC, a furious TNA Secretary General Onyango Law blasted the CORD coalition for criticizing Uhuru on the matter. Now, Onyango Law says CORD should find something better to do instead of taking on Uhuru for what he termed as a perfectly constitutional move mandated by law. He was speaking in Chogoria in Tharaka Nithi County.
Leaders of the opposition, and senior leaders at that, wake up one morning and they come to purport to countermand a decision of the president to set bodies which is mandated by the constitution. The president is under an obligation to act on the motions presented by parliament, and so no leader of the opposition should wake up to tell the president to defy parliament.
Let's now have a look at what Bonny Tunya has been working on all afternoon. I am sure it involves something to do with Maasai girls and self-defense. Welcome to the program.
Asante sana. And hundreds of girls from Transmara district are undergoing a long week of training on how to prevent themselves from being from rapists rather.
The training is organized by Kenya Dreams organization, and it seeks to educate girls on simple techniques to apply when waylaid on their way to or from school.
Now, cases of rape have been on the increase, with school-going children being the easier target.
Being
sent to fetch water is a routine chore for any schoolgirl after school. But for the young girls of Transmara, it is often a very risky endeavor. Many have been attacked and sexually assaulted by human predators that hide near water sources. The community has decided to stop wringing their hands in despair, and they are now out to do something radical about it.
What do you do?
The Kenya Foundation in Transmara has trained more than 200 girls in the past 1 week in self-defense tactics. They are learning to fight back. To kick back, literally. They will throw punches, they will scream for help, anything to keep rapists in check.
We tell them the difference between screaming and yelling. We teach them basic skills of how you can save yourself in a situation. When somebody grabs you, what do you do?
The foundation is led by Dr. Kakenya Ntaya, a CNN Heroes nominee whose goal is to empower young girls to achieve their dreams. They say in these areas cases of rape and defilement tend to rise during the December festive season, and it is the goal of the community to protect their girls this season. Agnes Penda for KTN Newsdesk.
Great, and we're sticking with matters of the girl child, and we'll be taking you to Bomet a little later, where a group of young people have rescued girls who are just about to undergo the FGM ceremony, and Patrick Amimo will have all those details. But let's go to Tana River and still talk about girls. And schoolgirls in Tana River County are set to benefit from sanitary towels to be distributed for free. According to Action Aid, has improvised recyclable sanitary towels to assist schoolgirls in Tana River County. The project is expected to assist girls from 17 schools in the county, many of whom miss classes during their menses. According to Action Aid, the Tana River Regional Manager for Education, the girl child in the area had dropped due to absenteeism during menstruation. Now, the organization has already begun to train girls in schools in the area on how to make use of the towels. The sanitary towels are made of gauze-like material with parts that can be removed and washed. Girls in the county who miss school during the menses eventually drop out of school, leading to poor education standards in the area. Now, Action Aid now plans to roll out the project to neighboring schools in the region in a bid to enable girls stay in school.
Gundua ya kwamba kulikuwa na shida kubwa ya watoto wa kisichana hasa kutoenda shule kwa sababu ya ada ya mwezi. Kwa hivyo tulifanya kazi pamoja na wenzetu ambao wako katika shirika hili la Action Aid katika maeneo mengine ya nchi hii na kuhakikisha ya kwamba kuna walimu ambao walipata mafunzo na wakaja wakawaelimisha watoto wasichana kutengeneza fodora ambazo unaweza ukazitumia zaidi ya mara moja.
Are you aware of maybe an individual, a business, or perhaps even an institution that is committed to elevating the quality of life for Kenyans? If you do, then you might want to link them to the Standard Group, which has now partnered with Deloitte and Riara University to form an initiative that will focus on recognizing and rewarding those individuals, businesses, and institutions which I have mentioned are committed to elevating the quality of life for Kenyans. Speaking at the official launch of Transform Kenya Awards 2013, the Standard Group CEO Sam Sholay challenged other stakeholders to join hands in driving the initiative on the role played by ordinary Kenyans in bringing change in the society that create positive impact on the lives of many. Now, Deloitte CEO Onyango lauded the move and challenged all Kenyans to wake up to the call of changing lives for the underprivileged.
Whose life or lives have you changed for the better with your own action or a group of you? This is partnering with a purpose. Let us all partner together to change Kenya.
So as one of the oldest indigenous Kenyan business, we want to create a different narrative for the next 50 years. We want to identify champions, encourage transformation, and be there to tell these stories. This initiative of Transform Kenya will provide an opportunity to highlight the role played by ordinary Kenyans in driving this change.
Now, the names of the winners will be revealed in January of 2014. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Chairman Mumo Matemu has advised all county governments to establish functional county corruption prevention units to strengthen the fight against the vice. Now, the chairman urged counties to develop conflicts of interest policies and structures to weed out corruption in the public service. Matemu, who was visiting Uasin Gishu County government, the county commissioner and chief magistrate's offices in Eldoret, lauded the few counties in the country that have not only had backed up the legislative unit by law to make it binding. Now, he insisted that they should not only establish programs that get rid of waste, but also map out their resources.
As institutions, we will take the first responsibility to rid ourselves of corruption. And then ESCC comes in to moderate the designs and programs for the fight within the institutions.
Now, the Council of Governors has expressed its concern over the failure by the government to sign the Economic Partnership Agreement with the European Union. With the deadline fast approaching, the Council warned that thousands of jobs and investments worth billions are at stake following the ongoing impasse. The matter arose during a meeting between governors and the Kenya Flower Council in a Naivasha hotel. Now, the governors were told that over 500,000 jobs were at stake, while the flower farmers could face a new tax of between 8 to 12% in the EU market, a move that would lock out many farmers from flower farming. Addressing the press, Bomet Governor Isaac Ruto warned that the country market share in the EU was at risk due to the ongoing impasse. On her part, the Chief Executive Officer, Jane Gige, noted that if the agreement was not signed, flower growing in the country would be affected.
2014, there will be no flower businesses in the various counties.
It's about 40% of the flowers in Europe is from Kenya. If we are careless not to conclude the EPA agreement immediately, then we could easily lose that 40% market share.
Now, we have a story that you might want to look out for. It's about the world's largest and slowest antelope. It's called the eland. But this particular story is about not just any other eland. It's about Elvis, the eland that was.
Not Elvis Presley, but Elvis the eland, orphaned at the age of 3 weeks after his mother was killed by a lion. Elvis was rescued and fed on formula milk by minders at the Borana Conservancy. Now 2.5 years old, Elvis refuses to return to the wild and appears to be in perfectly good company, cooking far to gali and the smell of cigarettes, what surrounds Elvis every day.
Apparently, he does have a sweet tooth. He knows his way around the Borana Conservancy offices, staff quarters, and also the workshop. Rita Tinina is actually working on that story, and she'll be bringing it to you during the KTN Prime Bulletin. So make a date with her at 9 p.m. this evening.
Yeah, looks a lot like a cow, but his name is
in the family.
Elvis. It's in the family?
So what,
Bovine,
a cow
family.
A cow can't be called Elvis?
Presley.
All right.
Great. We are just about to take a break, but just before that, more than 300 youths from Kipreres and Kiplobotwo locations in Bomet County last night stormed the Longisa District Hospital and escaped with 4 women who are undergoing medical examination.
The youth also circumcised 5 other girls and escaped with them to the neighboring Narok South District. The 4 women who had been circumcised forcefully were taken to Longisa Hospital by the area chief for treatment and determination of their ages before they could testify in court against suspected circumcisers.
Now, the irate youth later in the night stormed the chief's office and no one was injured. Now, the chief is blamed to support female genital mutilation in the area and for inciting the youth in a bid to frustrate his efforts to stamp out the practice.
Do you want to try those words again?
Those words, I'll give them a chance at the end of the bulletin.
All right.
Welcome back here on the news desk. Let's jump straight into our afternoon business chat. And today we're talking about youth entrepreneurship. Now, yesterday morning I was talking to the chairman of the Youth Fund and telling us all the available resources the young people can plug in. But there seems to be another concern. Youth are not equipped in terms of knowledge base in regards to entrepreneurship, and I'm joined by Nation Gulali to just try and help me understand this. Nation, karibu sana.
Asante.
Nation, you seem to move the idea that probably this education ought to start earlier on, because as it were right now, entrepreneurship skills are past at, say, tertiary level.
Yeah, basically this is because if you look at entrepreneurship, people are taking entrepreneurship as plan B to addressing the issue of youth unemployment. And if you look even at the revenue base, or let me say the tax base, the amount of money that the government gets from, let me say, the public, entrepreneurship, or let me say the informal sector contributes a lot. And if you look at the labor market, the labor market is kind of biased because it tends to focus on those people who are just coming out from school, and if you look at it, it's not adequate enough to accommodate everyone. So you get people are educated but they can't access jobs. So if you look at the youth, specifically the numbers of youth who are unemployed, we have 60% out of the 40% of the total unemployment rates in Kenya. And if we go back to those days when we had business education in schools, as much as it was more theoretical, or let me say examinable, it used to assist the youth so much, because someone who could not be able to graduate into secondary school could be at least start something meaningful that could contribute to his livelihood.
So Nation, we're talking about overhauling the education career, or the specific aspects that you're proposing that probably this skill set need to be injected at this particular point?
Actually, they need to be injected at the early stages of the education system, and not only being injected but be practical, as in the system should be in a way that it's introducing practical entrepreneurship, whereby the youth can actually compete in developing business plans. The youth actually should be able to start knowing how to access the various funds. Actually, this thing is working in countries like South Korea, Singapore, and Portugal. What we do, the government should actually introduce a form of entrepreneurship in whereby we get mentors. The people like Manu Chandaria, who've been successful businesses, come and mentor these youngsters, and actually...
But they're already doing that. I mean, Manu Chandaria has a school and all that. Because
as much as it's being done, but the beauty, let me say, inculcating that culture of entrepreneurship at the early stage is not yet being done at the early stages of the education. So the children that we have in the lower primary and the secondary level, they need to grow with that entrepreneurship culture in them, knowing that as much as I'm going to graduate from high school, or let me say university, formal employment is not only the way, but informal employment can also add value to my life and make me actually earn a livelihood.
Okay, Nation, that's a long-term plan, but for the young people who are already out there, they're trying to access these resources given out by the government and whatnot. How do we empower them? How do we build these skills?
On that, Africa Youth Trust has a program that is actually trying to address the major gap that is in the youth, which is lack of skills. People come out of colleges, people come out of schools with theoretical knowledge about, let me say, what to do in their career life. But the skills to actually address the various issues that are affecting them, they don't have them. So Africa Youth Trust has a program under the Project Youth Employment Initiative of Nairobi that tends to build and inculcate the labor market skills and the business entrepreneurship skills in the youth, such that when these youth are going to access the various government programs like the Youth Fund, they, as much as they are going to get that fund, they have the skills to manage the businesses that they're going to run.
All right. Nation, most of people are watching and they're saying, okay, we need this to be done now. The civil society has been known to put pressure, and when you ask, okay, do we have that plan in place? Do we have engagement conversations with government regarding to this? How far are we in terms of that?
We are actually negotiating with the Parliamentary Select Committee for Education to see if at all they'll be in a position to review the education curriculum to fit this issue of entrepreneurship in the education system. We are also planning to roll out a youth employment model, which is going to help the 47 youth counties. And we expect the county committees on youth affairs, because if you look at issues of the youth, they are no longer now issues of the national government. They've now been devolved to the 47 counties. And we expect the county committees on youth affairs to adopt this model and actually plan for it in their county plans.
So for the young people watching, there is hope something has started.
Something has started.
Great, yes. That's a good place to end it. Nation Gulali from the Africa Youth Trust, just trying to show us the importance of incorporating entrepreneurship in our education models for the future. Edith?
Thank you, Tunya. Let's get straight to the sports. Here's a sports story with a twist. Thousands of runners will converge this coming weekend in Sacramento County for the California International Marathon. Among them will be 2 elite Kenyan runners. The International Marathon, dubbed Kenyafornia, is all out to take the Kenyan running spirit to California, and it's dubbed Kenyafornia. Now, I understand that there'll be a fun race, and there'll also be a place where we can enjoy Kenyan food and beer and a wine bar.
Great, Edith. Just before we wrap this up, there are some trouble words in today's bulletin. In the story from Bomet County. Now, the places are called Kipreres and Kiplabotwo locations, and if you come from there, please tweet us. That is at KTN Newsdesk, and we'll be glad to get the correct pronunciation. But so far, I'll go with Kipreres and Kiplabotwo locations in Bomet County.
Right, let's wind up this bulletin with our Did You Know fact. Did you know craniopagus conjoined twins, those are twins who are conjoined on their cranium, which is in the skull. Krista and Tatiana, they're actually able to see through each other's eyes.
Wow.
How unbelievable is that? Wow. I know. My name is Edith Kimani. Do have yourselves a wonderful week, not weekend, woo, a wonderful afternoon ahead.
It's almost here, but the long weekend is coming next week. So,
it's coming next week.
My name is Bonny. Good afternoon.